Since my daughter started running cross country and track, I've had a lot of opportunities for her to test shoes that I just don't fit in. So today, let's lace up some tiny shoes and take them for a run. Yo, what's going on everybody? My name is Kofuzi and I'm a non-elite runner who normally reviews adult size running shoes here on YouTube. But today I'm going to talk to you guys about kid size running shoes and whether we really even need kid specific shoes. But before I give you my thoughts on this genre of shoe, I do want to go over some disclosures. Most of these shoes were shoes that I purchased myself for the sole purpose of giving my daughter shoes to run in. But one of these shoes, the Hoka Clifton Kids edition, is a pair of shoes that was sent to me by Hoka so I could test it out. However, they're not paying me to make this video or to even include their shoe in this video, and no one's gonna get a chance to preview any of my or my daughter's thoughts before you guys get a chance to see this video on YouTube. And just one other note before we get into the main part of the video, my daughter is not going to be participating herself in this video, so she won't be appearing on camera, kind of like I'm appearing in camera right now. But I do have a lot of footage of her running in all of these shoes over the past year, and I do have her permission to share that footage with you guys. All right, with those things out of the way, let's talk about what the kind of landscape is for kids running shoes. Now, at first, I think we kind of have to like distill kids running shoes into three categories of shoes. The first category is going to be like the shoes that like are just sneakers, like athletic-ish shoes that might look like running shoes and they're made for kids. And that's going to be shoes like this one that I think my daughter picked up at like a Payless or a Famous Footwear, and they're at kids prices, so they're a very attractive option. Now, these shoes that are like this, which are just like shoes that have some sort of midsole in it and a lot of rubber and are built primarily for durability and price point, I don't have really a problem with those per se, but I think that for our youngest runners that are out there, kids that are not running a bunch of miles every week, I feel like those shoes are going to be just fine for them, but you're just looking for something that kids to be active in. I feel like for the youngest runners, those shoes are absolutely going to be fine. The second kind of shoe that we'll talk about are actually adult size shoes, and that's women's shoes. And so there is a conversion factor that you can use, but for a lot of brands, especially some of the bigger brands, for sizes as small as 3.5 in the youth size, you can find a corresponding size of adult size shoes. So this is a very small shoe, much smaller than the adult size shoe that I wear, but it is an adult women's size shoe. And that's going to be a very kind of important fact here, because while women's shoes come this small, basically overlapping with a lot of the youth sizes, especially for like preteen girls, I feel like going with some of those smaller women's sizes give you kind of the most functionality, the most features, and probably the most protection from the road, from impact on those young bodies. I feel like you're getting a real running shoe. There's no compromises here that you're presenting to your young child. And I feel like this, if you can afford it, is the best way to go. There's two downsides though. The downside is that if you're buying an adult shoe, you're gonna be paying adult prices. So this is gonna be at the full retail, whether you're buying a women's size 6 or a men's size 9, which is my normal running shoe size, you're gonna be paying pretty much the same price. So for those of you who are looking to save a couple bucks, this might not be the exact option for you. The other thing to watch out for is some younger boys who might not be fitting into the smallest of the men's size shoes might not want to run in women's shoes. I don't think that there's any problem with a young boy running in a small sized women's shoe, but some boys may have a problem with that, and I am aware of that. They might not feel the best running in those. And then the final version of kids shoes that we have here is kids versions of actual adult size shoes. And for that, we're talking about shoes like this, which is like the kids version of the Novablast 2. Now this is notable because like it has the name Novablast 2, which is one of my favorite shoes from a couple years ago, but the foam that's in here is different. So it's a kid's version of an adult shoe, but it has some like different, I guess, features or some price point adjustments to make this shoe, but it is supposed to be modeled off of an actual adult size running shoe. And kind of as a subset of that category is other kids shoes that are based off of adult shoes, but have more like adult technology in them, like this Hoka Clifton 9. Hoka promises that it's supposed to have almost the exact same ride and experience in this kids version as you would have in, say, the adult version. And for those young boys, I feel like the best option is those shoes that are based off of adult running shoes, especially as they're starting to get to the top end of that range of youth sizes. Brands that are starting to cater specifically to that market, like Hoka, which is promising that this shoe is supposed to have some really great performance, just like you would see in the adult size. So with those recommendations out of the way, in case you guys are curious, let's go over the shoes that my daughter has found to be some of her favorites. And let me tell you what, they were very much a surprise for me. So we had her in these two shoes primarily for last year in her first cross country season and her first track season. She's been really enjoying running the 800 meters. And these are the two shoes that she found that she was running in the most. For her cross country season, she was running in this Kids Nova Blast 2. And then for the track season, she found that she really liked this Nike Revolution Kids version, which was a little bit of a surprise for me, but okay. And initially I attributed that preference to the fact that a lot of the other kids on our team, and especially some of the older girls that are on the track team, all seem to be running in like Nike Pegasus type of shoes. I thought maybe that was the reason, but it turns out I do think that she has definite sets of preferences. In the last couple of months in the off season, I've since introduced her to 3 other shoes, this Hoka Clifton Kids, and then 2 women's shoes, this Nova Blast 3 and this Brooks Ghost, both in size 6. And her overall favorite was the Brooks Ghost. She tells me that it's because she likes that it has a very stable heel. She likes to feel very secure back here when she's landing on the ground. She's running on a lot of softer surfaces when I've been running with her over the summer. And also when she's running for cross country, she wants to be able to have something that's a little bit more stable in the heel and also something that's a little bit more firm in the forefoot because the surfaces that she's running on are a little bit mushier. Her least favorite shoe, it turns out, was the shoe that I thought she would really like the most, the Nova Blast 3. And based on the preferences that she stated, that makes absolute sense. This is one of the squishiest shoes that I can think of. It's one of my personal favorites, but my preferences are obviously very different than hers. And so some of the things that I like about it are ill-suited for some of the things that she likes and some of the softer surfaces that she tends to spend most of her running time on. Her second favorite shoe was the Nova Blast 2, and again, that makes a lot of sense because this is a bit firmer of a shoe, certainly much more firm than the adult version that had FF Blast as the midsole foam. Her third favorite shoe, though, was the Hoka Clifton Kids. Now, the one thing that I will point out, even though they've said that they're trying to make this kids version as much like the adult version as possible, I will point out that the material that they used in the upper of the Hoka Clifton Kids is kind of like a waterproof layer that's on top of here. It doesn't breathe very well at all. The upper that's on here is really something that I don't like, especially compared to how much I like the adult version of the Hoka Clifton. But this kids version comes in at number 3 in terms of my daughter's preferences. And again, that makes sense because this is a nice wide platform for her to land on. So there's kind of like some structural stability built in that way, but it is a much softer, springier foam. And that's not some of her favorite characteristics in a running shoe. Number 4 turns out to be the shoe that she spent most of her track season in, this Nike Revolution Kids version. It makes sense to me that she likes it because it has that firm midsole foam, especially in a season where she spent a lot of time running on a bouncy track. So that makes a lot of sense. So I think that the main takeaway that I want to convey here is that more expensive isn't always better. You really have to put your kids in a lot of different shoes and help them figure out the things that they like and the things that they don't like. And then you can make some decisions that way. The kind of shoe that you buy, whether it's like a kid's generic athletic shoe or a small adult women's shoe, is really going to depend on your kid and what they're looking to get out of their running shoe. Are they just looking to have something that they can be athletic in and be active in? Or are they looking for something that they can put towards a actual structured training program? Not that I think kids at this kind of preteen age should be running a ton of miles, but as they're starting to join middle school cross country and track, which is when I started running cross country and track, they're gonna wanna have some shoes that can stand up to the rigors that they are subjecting their younger bodies to. And the last thing that I could say is fit is going to be really important, especially as you're bouncing back between like kids athletic shoes to kids versions of adult shoes to actual adult shoes. The fit is going to be really different in terms of the last and how much volume the toe boxes have, how much volume the foot shape has. So I really do think that getting measured at a running specialty store is going to be worth the time and effort for your kids. After all, running is a simple sport that only requires really one main piece of equipment. You want to really make sure that that piece of equipment really works for your kids, and you want to give them the best shot at having an enjoyable experience, so maybe they will hopefully enjoy it as much as you do. So those are my thoughts on kids running shoes. Let me know in the comments if you have any other questions, or better yet, stop by the live stream that I do Monday through Friday every day over on the Kofuzi Run Club channel. I'd love to talk to you guys over there in the chat. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I will see you in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?